We're going to call this informational meeting to order. Welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. My name is Chris Laudis, I'm the town manager. We've got representatives from our engineering firm, Christopher Burke, present. Obviously you've been notified that we have a project going in your neighborhood. It is a street paving project, which the engineers will get into greater detail, but on the high level, this is just shy of $2 million. It's $1.79 million, with $831,000 coming from the state. It was part of a grant that's called the Community Crossing Matching Grant. So when the state raised the gas tax several years ago, they created a fund for municipalities to apply to do road paving in their communities. And this is a way for the community to use local dollars and match it to the state to try to expand how much we can do locally, because a project like this probably would not have been feasible otherwise with the funding that the town has. So the state has helped out significantly. And there's going to be some, I'm sure there's some aspects of this project that are more high level that will be covered by our engineers. And we simply ask that some questions that are very specific to your property be saved for a Q&A after the informational meeting has happened. So we will open up to general questions afterwards. But if you've got something specific to your property, we're going to hang out afterwards and answer some questions, and so we can come and have discussions in front of the boards. We've also got the GIS open on the smart board over there, and this meeting is being recorded, so that way, in case anybody misses this meeting, it can be viewed again on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to turn it over now to Don Oliphant, our engineer.
Thanks for coming out. Like Chris said, my name is Don Oliphant. Work for Christopher Burke Engineering. TJ Gordon's next to me. He will be our construction inspector for the project, so you're primarily going to see him most of the time out there. This subdivision, along with another subdivision on the west side of the lake, was kind of earmarked as priority subdivisions for reconstruction back with the update of our 2021 subdivision master plan. So at that time, design plans were brought up to roughly 30% to try to get some utilities going and have us be ready when funding was available. So that was a good kind of forward-thinking plan, because that's what made this basically a go project for CCMG, which was the last phase. So like Chris said, it's roughly mid-$800,000 that we received from the state to partially fund this program. And with those available funds, that's why this subdivision was also broke into two projects as well. So phase one, and we split that into phase 1A and phase 1B. That kind of got us to our maximum of what we can receive from the feds, and so it's a roughly even split, 50-50. So the first phase was roughly $1.8 million. It was what was awarded. We're only allowed $1 million through CCMG each year. So we tried to break it up as best as possible to get to our $2 million kind of combined. So that's where this phase one kind of came from, and phase two is the next to go, and that'll go when we have money to do it. Phase 1A, as we're terming it, that will go this year. That will include 141st Avenue, essentially from Hobart all the way to the east corporate limits, Wheeler Street and Berkeley Street. And then 1B will start first thing in the spring when we get weather. And then that will include 140th Avenue, Edison, Mary's Lane, Rockland, and Sherman. Sherman's the only one that could be moved to phase 1A, depending on how quick our contractor moves, but will most likely be next year. And then the center gap right there, which is Fairbanks, Fernwood, Hobart, and then Windsor, that will go at a later date, and that's kind of what we termed as phase two, which is in the center of those overall exhibits out there now. So our 1A phase, which should start sometime, we're thinking early September to mid-September. The notice to proceed hasn't been issued yet to the contractor. The winning contractor was Milestone. Probably see them a lot. They do a lot of these projects over the years. They've done probably at least 90% of them. So they're kind of familiar with these types of roadways, how tight they can be. So they're familiar with some of the restrictions, some of the kind of the tough things that we have to deal with in these tight corridors. So that was nice since they're familiar with it. This 1A, they has effectively 50 working days to substantial completion, and then 65 to final. They've been told that they have to get everything done in these 3 streets this year, pretty much up to final asphalt. The only items that may kind of linger into next year will be restoration. We most likely will be out of seating windows by the time we get final asphalt done, so that will likely be picked up with the 1B construction when that starts in 2024. The 1B is slightly larger, that's 75 working days and 90 days to final. So that will take up a good chunk of the spring and probably bleed into the summer a little bit. And like I said before, that'll be 140th Avenue, Edison, Marys Lane, Rockland, and Sherman Street. Just a generality of kind of what we're doing. All roads except 140th Ave will be fully reconstructed with storm sewer infrastructure and asphalt. A lot of the roadway profiles and extents will remain roughly the same for width and all that, except we'll have curbs now. The biggest change would be to 141st Avenue and Wheeler. Those profiles, the roadways will actually be raised anywhere from 1.6 to 2 feet to alleviate some flooding problems we've had there historically. There will be a new box culvert installed under 141st, be a 4x2 box culvert to equalize both of those wetland lobes to prevent flooding over there. So the Wheeler kind of 141st intersection will actually be closed when we're doing that. So you can see on one of those boards, it's our maintenance of traffic. So we'll have detour routes all the way around. I believe the detour route is 133rd. And that will be active for most likely probably close to a month. When that's closed is kind of an unknown right now. The box culvert, we don't have a lead time on that yet, but we still hope that'll be this year, and it's going to go this year. So they have approved drawings for that now they just need to make it. So that will be the biggest item in 1A, will be the raising of that roadway. There'll be guardrail put in there. There'll be a pretty substantial box culvert. Right now, I think there's 2 18-inch pipes that are pretty much crushed and not doing a whole lot of anything. So that's caused some issues with basically loss of pavement at the Wheeler intersection that's been band-aided for years. So that will be remedied finally. So that's a really important part of this. Wheeler, the center line will be shifted a couple feet to the east, because right now it's sitting on the very west side of the right-of-way. It's going to shift about 7 feet to the east, and that will require a retaining wall kind of up towards the middle part of the hill, because we start getting into the very steep property on the east side. So that'll be a roughly 2-foot high retaining wall within the right-of-way to kind of hold back those slopes. And that wall is roughly 135 feet long. So it's a pretty decently sized wall. That was done not only to shift it back into the right-of-way, but also to avoid a gas main on the west side. Getting into utilities, we've been coordinating with NIPSCO for about 2+ years now, and we all know how slow they move. There will be relocations within these corridors. Wheeler is most likely not going, that doesn't need to be changed since we're kind of shifting the roadway alignment a little bit. The gas main in Berkeley will be entirely new, so they will abandon a 2-inch steel line and install a 2-inch poly line. They're currently at 90% plans. We hope to know, hopefully in the next week or two, exactly when they're going to be in that corridor. So most likely, our road crews will be on Wheeler 141st first, and then wait for NIPSCO's contractor to get out of there, and then we'll jump in right behind them. They will also be relocating gas mains in Phase 1B. I believe those are on Edison, Marys Lane, and Rockland. I think Sherman is going to stay with some minor kind of corrections to get around some of our structures. We will be coming to some homeowners probably in the next month or two for easements. I think we need 5. They're all within 1B. They are to install some storm sewer on private property to drain some localized poor drainage areas and to get our infrastructure through a block to our outlet. So the 5 or so we need, Chris's staff will reach out to you when those documents are together and kind of discuss exactly what we're doing through there. Yeah, like Chris said, this is meant to be super informal. So if anybody has any general questions regarding the project, we'd be happy to answer them now. If you have specific questions about your parcel in general, we'll stick around as long as you guys want us to, and we'll answer whatever questions we can.
For anyone online, please do the hand raise emoji or I don't know what you call it, function. And when we see the hand up, we'll make sure to include to unmute you and ask the question. So now we'll open up to any public questions if there's any public question. Sir, in the back, if you'd like to.
40th Avenue.
Would you like to come up to the podium and state your name and address? Sorry.
If I could, before you start speaking, sir, for those of you online, if you look under the More button on your tools, that will show you where to raise your hand. The third one down.
Okay, Bob Wilson, live at 7012 West 140th Avenue. My question is, half the street has been repaved, but with a berm going all the way down it. Will that be taken care of and leveled out for temporary? Right now, it's very hard to drive up and down that street.
So we will mill 140th all the way down 2 inches, and we'll replace it with a crown. So it will be, I think, more what's there now with the water main project, which we're not involved in, is more temporary to get it through the winter, and then we will attack that next year.
Right, I figured you'd do something next year, but right now, it's just, they won't even be able to plow the street without being paved.
Well, have they gone and done the
Right
street
now,
yet?
there's like an 1.5 to 2 inch pad.
Yeah.
So they need to put the top coat of asphalt on.
They're gonna put top coat asphalt down the
Yep,
street?
yeah, so
Yeah,
it'll be followed.
And before winter?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is our understanding. I'm not sure on the schedule for that, but,
Yeah, because right now, it's a little rough to drive.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
no
Is
problem.
that also Edison?
Edison will have a temporary kind of patch as well, and then we'll come back next year and rip it right back out. So.
Can I bring up a flooding issue?
Sure. Come on up.
William Flanagan, 7,000 West 140th Avenue. I am at the corner of Edison and 140th Avenue. Edison, as you well know, runs at an incline coming down to 140th. The last 2 weeks when we had the hard rain, it flooded the front part of my garage. I actually took a hoe and cut a trench and diverted that water into my backyard. Okay?
Okay.
Can there be a PVC installed there or a storm drain that runs the entire width of Edison to swallow that water?
So you are correct. So about maybe halfway through Edison, coming off 141st, kind of the top of the hill, a little past Mary's Lane. There is an entirely new system going in for that hill. There's going to be 2.
Well, I'm at the corner of
Yeah.
Edison and 140th.
So there
Here's Edison coming down.
Yeah. So there will be 2 inlets installed halfway down that hill coming down, and then there's going to be 2 more at the very end of it.
So the
Pretty much at that corner.
circular drains.
Yeah. You'll have one at your northwest radius and southeast side of it as well. So that'll pick it and basically turn it east, away from you.
Okay, when that road is finished, will there be a curved, what do you call that, a berm thing on the side of the road?
Some
That the
curve.
water that's missed in the drain will hit that and run?
So there is a curve shown on basically your radius right there. If
Okay.
you're just west of that concrete driveway that goes north, you're to the west of him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there will be a curve around that radius,
Between you and your eastern neighbor is what you're saying. That
Yes.
yeah, yep, there's gonna be a curb on the radii there, and like Don said, you're gonna have 2 4-foot structures with 12-foot pipe, or 12-inch pipe coming out
And
of it.
approximately when?
That will be part of 1B.
That's 1B, so that'll be in the spring.
So it'll be in the
In the
spring.
spring?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I bring up snow plowing?
Sure.
Yeah.
When last year the guy comes up the road with the snow plow, he basically has no place to put it anymore, because the end of Edison is owned,
Yeah.
okay, and concrete. So is he to push it into the vacant field there, or what's he supposed to do there? I know last winter he piled almost 5 feet of snow in front of my gate,
your house?
pushed my gates in.
I can't answer that. Yeah.
Street department?
That's Public Works, yeah.
Yeah.
Street
Public
department.
Works, talk to them?
Yeah.
Okay. That's about it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do have one question online, we'll let them go now.
Yeah, I live at, 14017 Rockland, probably just behind the gentleman that just spoke. Is there any, plan to reprofile our street, Rockland?
You said 14717 Rockland, correct?
14017 Rockland, I'm at the end of the road.
Okay. So the longitudinal profile of that road is remaining roughly the same. It's about a 1.9% pitch. As we head north, it gets down to roughly 0.6%, all the way to the end. That will have curb and gutter, and then also have 6 inlets on that street before it dead ends kind of off to the not vacant parcel to the north, but the more forested parcel to the north. So it will be, to go with curb and gutter, we'll have a 2% cross slope, which is our crown, which will pitch everything to the gutters and be collected by those inlets.
Rockland's gonna have curb and gutters?
Yes.
Yes, yep, and a
Okay,
2%.
Another question, because when you enter in off of 141, there's a dip in the road there, and then it rises up, and there's a crown in the road. Everything from that crown pitches to my house. I've added about 40 yards of dirt the last year, and I plan to add a bunch more, but I'm just wondering what you guys are doing to remedy any problems of water shedding over my property, which is against the code, actually.
So you're talking at 141st now?
No, I'm talking right up, 141st, no, the Rockland I'm talking about, because
Yeah.
as you enter off of 141st onto Rockland, there's a dip in the road.
Yep.
Are you gonna remove that dip?
No, that dip's gonna remain, but we'll have 2 drainage inlets at that dip. That's essentially our low point in our road right there.
Why wouldn't you just culvert it and build it up a little bit? I got a lowrider, it's tough to get it in and out of there, besides other issues with the flooding that goes right to my house. And again, other properties shed water onto my house, onto my property, that's against the flooding code.
I don't wanna get into codes right now. We try to match profiles as best as we can, especially with some of our limited right-of-way issues. That area, essentially, it's similar to existing profile. We're talking about 0.2 feet, so that's roughly 2.5 inches. We're essentially taking runoff from the right-of-ways and bringing it into the road, into the inlet, so it should help, if anything. If you're the property to the northwest of that intersection, you're quite a bit higher than the road right there, so that most of your property will actually drain into Rockland.
Yeah, but from the middle of Rockland, north, goes towards my property.
I mean, it comes...
Again, we've added 40 cubic yards of dirt over the last year, just to try to remedy some of the runoff.
So we have the inlets there, and we also have an inlet, a yard inlet, basically in the northwest radius of 141st and Rockland, that will pick up some of the residual runoff from the right-of-ways. So it should be better. I mean, be willing to meet you out there and address anything you have specifically.
There's no need for that, I just want to get a better understanding. So all of your stores on Rockland are going to pitch towards 141st, correct?
Yeah, we're collecting it in a system that kind of goes into, there's a 15-inch flare-down section on the north side of 141st that'll all be directed to that system.
Perfect.
Kind of where it's going now. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other public comment?
Nick Schinkel, I own the property at 6506 141st Lane, so that'd be at the corner of Wheeler and 141st. The house is burnt down, I bought that property. You guys are going to move the road, you say you're taking 7 feet, part of that, right? You're moving the road...
It's shifting east, yes.
East, right, so it's coming onto that property. And then my mother owns the property just north of me up Wheeler. Okay, that we can't do nothing about, when you're talking that retaining wall, is that retaining wall going there? So then my property's gonna have water in it, right?
No,
You're gonna put a retaining wall on the east side of Wheeler, right, as you bring it up,
Yep.
and then I still got a low spot there all the way to the garage.
No, we're way north of you. So the retaining wall is essentially gonna be at the high point of the road.
By my parent, by my mom.
Yeah, and it's kind of pushing into that hill. The hill is still coming down into the
Yes.
road. Yeah, pretty hard,
Yes.
actually. There's gonna be no low spot created there.
Okay, so then are you gonna raise that up with the road, when the road comes up 2 feet there? At the corner.
The road's staying kind of at the same grade pretty much there. It's really steep, 7% grade,
Okay.
coming down to the south. And then we don't actually get into the actual road raise until we get closer to the intersection with 141st. And
So
then
that whole corner.
we start deviating away from existing just to bring it up to match our 141st.
Okay,
And then we'll have a structure actually at the northeast corner of Wheeler and 141st to help
Okay.
collect that drainage, because it is low there, and we
Yes.
are bringing the road up, so that'll
Yes.
collect that. So you own, you said 6506?
yeah, I think that's the
We
address.
actually wanted to talk to you about
Okay.
potentially filling in some of the areas on your property to help it drain better.
That's
you
what
were-
that's what I'm wondering about, 'cause if you guys bring that up at all, that floods anyway. That spot there, so like.
So we'll
that's
have
what I'm
a
wondering.
structure there, but I think we can make that better, so.
That would be nice.
We would need your permission for that, so.
I'm not against that, you know,
Okay.
'cause I know the kids would have a place to stand for the bus,
Yep,
you know what I mean? 'Cause that's
Yep.
a big bus stop, that's always been a big bus stop.
Yep.
That was my bus stop, and we played in the water.
Yep.
You know, so, I mean,
Well, we'll have some room to play there,
okay.
Not in the water.
not in the water.
That should be gone.
But it would make the lot better,
Okay,
so,
'cause as soon as I'm working on paying that off, I'd like to build a new house there.
Okay.
So that's where I'm gonna stay for a little while. You know,
so
so if we make the lot better, it would be, you know, good for me, I guess.
if you have your number on there and we start getting into this intersection, he'll probably give you a call
Okay,
about what we can do. That was kind of the one property on Wheeler that we knew we could play with a little bit to make it better.
yeah, 'cause there's a little bit of space there too, and I mean, even at 7 feet, there's not much there.
Yeah,
You know,
and,
to move that, I mean, 'cause my mother owns the next 8 lots on Wheeler, north of me.
okay.
So you're taking some of her stuff too, but, you know, it's just woods.
Yeah,
You know,
the
and it
reason,
makes Wheeler better for them people, you know.
this is actually one of the wider right-of-ways in the subdivision. It's actually kind of rare, it's 30 feet wide. Some of the other ones are 20.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we have an 18-foot road plus
'cause
utilities
I live at the end of Berkeley.
Okay,
That's-
yeah,
that's
that's
where I
another
live.
30-footer, so.
Is at the end of Berkeley in the duplex down
Yeah.
there.
And Wheeler was very shifted to the west, which put it right on top of a gas main. So we're just essentially centering it now, which made the wall necessary, unfortunately.
Okay,
But I think it made more sense so we didn't have any gas conflicts, but, you know, we were gonna bring up this intersection regardless. We know how bad it's been.
Forever.
Wheeler will be one of the tougher, so for everybody, I guess, we try to maintain access to everybody's property as much as possible. There's gonna be times for an hour or two where we may cut it off, but we'll let you know. If we're doing it for anything longer than that, we'll actually send out flyers. When we start doing curb and gutters, we'll do one side at a time. So we ask for patience and please be neighborly and kind, because typically in the past with some of these subdivisions, we'll ask you to park in a neighbor's subdivision for 2 or 3 days while the curb sets, and then we'll flip it. So it's just kind of a necessary evil of how tight some of these corridors are, unfortunately.
well, I know my driveway runs through that, and if anybody out there,
Yeah,
you guys need to park in that property, you just park in that property.
and we'll give you a heads up before we start doing the
If
curb
you guys
stuff.
don't mind throwing some stone in there, at 141st, my culvert's bad there.
Oh, we're
That
gonna,
culvert, that driveway
we're
going out to 141st is bad, so when
We're
people
replacing
drive
it.
through there,
replacing that. So everybody's, typically I've done these types of projects over the years. If you have a gravel driveway, it'll be replaced with a asphalt driveway. to our right-of-way limits.
The
To the.
Yeah, obviously you're not gonna pave the whole driveway.
Yeah, so if you have asphalt, it replaces asphalt again. If you have concrete, it'll replace with concrete.
But you're gonna
So,
fix the culvert.
yes.
Yeah, culvert's getting fixed.
Yeah.
And then anybody who currently has a culvert where there's curb going, your culvert will get removed, and you won't need it anymore because of the reprofiling, the water's gonna get
And
into
the storm drains.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Tina, did you still have a question?
Yeah, my name's Kyle Shepherd. I live at 7108 West 140th Avenue. And I was just curious, at the beginning, when they were talking about the whole project, they had mentioned, I forget what the phrase was, but something like all the roads are scheduled for, I think it was total reconstruction with new sewers and everything, except for 140th Avenue. And I'm not asking for any more construction on my street. I'm just curious, why was 140th Avenue excluded from the total reconstruction with sewer and all that?
So initially, that was earmarked kind of with a different section of our subdivision master plan. There was a bunch of finger roads off of Morse Street. There's a lot of dead-end street that was kind of lumped into that. Since it was also part of the water main project as well, it kind of got left out of that for that, but seeing as they're only doing a patch, it got added back into ours to at least surface it. We didn't have the funds to do storm sewer and curbs, but this was kind of the balance of what money we had available. Is the best I can answer it, I guess.
Okay, and then just to clarify, the very first question that was asked, 140th is going to be, I think you said like round down or whatever. You're going to even it out somehow soon, right?
Yeah, we're gonna mill it, so we're gonna mill it 2 inches, so what's going down this year is we're gonna pretty much not rip it out, but we're gonna mill it down 2 inches, and then we're gonna put back surface asphalt. When we do that, we kind of re-profile it, our cross slope, so that'll actually give it a crown. So versus what we're showing now, which is essentially just a patch on one lane, it'll look like one uniform section, much better than now.
Okay, and you said no curbs on 140th?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
So everybody gets curbs to the 140th.
That's the way.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay? You guys start this project, you know how much money you have, you know what you gotta spend, and then you start moving around. They haven't done a thing over there in over 2 weeks.
Who?
The workers. Nothing's moved in 2 weeks.
I have nothing to do with it.
I don't care,
Yeah.
it's not my business, but you're not gonna put curbs on that road, but you're gonna do them on the other roads. Why is that?
Unfortunately, we are constrained by money, sir.
So you're gonna spend all the extra money on the west side of the lake.
There's no extra money.
Oh, bullshit, man. So, you got 142nd, I think, or 141st on the west side shut down to do something. What are they doing?
And this is a different, what you're asking about right now is not related to this project, but that's a private developer running a water line across that road.
Okay. Also, you patched the road on the end of 141st. You did a nice patch job. You can't do that on these, especially coming into 140th. You got this much room to fit a car in. And you can't patch that so we can get in there?
On 140th and Morris is what he's talking about.
Right.
It's very difficult to get in and out of our street.
We understand that that water line project is not done yet.
It forces people to drive through Dr. Mish's parking
Yes.
lot,
That's what I do.
so you're not
Constant
hit
traffic.
head-on. And when people at Mish's park close to the telephone pole there, you have to get out and go around that stuff, and the people coming down the hill are avoiding the bad patch job that's there.
That's been there
And I
the
mean
whole time.
extremely bad patch job. They come over on the other side, the left side of the road, and bang, I'm surprised there hasn't been a few head-on crashes there.
Right, they need to finish the road.
Yeah.
They're done with that work.
And without a curb,
They're not done with it yet.
all the water that is missed by the drains you're gonna put in, flooding, still, want to curb, accept some of that water and run it towards Mrs.? I think so.
Well, we'll be picking a lot of Edison off that goes there now, and that's gonna go in an entirely different direction.
I mean, the last storm we had, it was like somebody had turned on a hose coming right across my fence line, off of my neighbor's concrete or whatever on the side of it. And I put my rain suit on and cut a trench, and that water was like a river, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Something's gotta be done, because it runs right in on the foundation.
So did that house built up, because I know my brother-in-law and sister-in-law's property on Sherman flooded because the man built a new house there and they raised the house up.
They raised the grade?
Yes,
That's another question.
and their land's always flooded, I mean, they've known about it for 3 years.
I'm sorry, there's multiple different conversations going on. If one person wants to speak and come up to the podium and try to keep it about this project.
Hi, my name's Ted LaTulip. I live at 14001 Wheeler, and I got a couple questions. One, the box culvert putting in on 141st.
We need to be respectful of the speaker.
On 141st, that water moves from the south side to the north side and meanders through that lot. Are you, when you're done, are you gonna put in a defined ditch to channel that water to the, I forget what street that is, where there's a there's a culvert over there?
Goes down, Hobart.
Hobart.
Yeah. No, that's a wetland, so we can't touch that.
Okay, what about a defined ditch next to the road? I mean, how do you expect the water to get over there? Just still go through the wetland like it is?
It has to. We can't touch that.
There's already a culvert there, you guys just need to fix it and clean it.
Well, yeah, there's a culvert, there's an 18-inch culvert on the east side of Hobart that
Right.
parallels it at the end of that wetland.
Exactly.
It does need to be maintained better. It does, because it does clog. I've seen it firsthand.
Well, it actually needs to be replaced, because probably it hasn't been touched in 40 years that I've lived there.
As part of phase 2, we moved into that, we're gonna evaluate that, because that goes all the way up to kind of
Are
the
you sure
trip.
you guys are gonna do phase 2? Because I live on Fernwood and Hobart, and you guys have been preaching this for 40 years, and I'm now actually on phase 2, which I don't think I'll ever see. And I've been here for 40 years, and these phases never happen.
I mean, there's a preliminary design for it already.
Yeah, I've already seen these preliminary designs too.
I mean, we've never done one.
So,
This is the first time. We've evaluated from a stormwater perspective to get actual plans together.
you know what I get? I get gravel dumped in my yard.
Sir, I'm
I'm
sorry.
not done, no,
Yes.
I wasn't done.
Yeah.
I had another couple of questions. On Wheeler Street, dead-end street, you know,
Mhm.
okay, how do we, there's no plan to put a cul-de-sac at the end of the road?
No.
So, for instance, every day, 4 o'clock, school bus comes down the road, drops someone off. Has to use 2 private driveways to turn around. Snowplow has to use private driveways to turn around. None of that's gonna change?
We couldn't build a cul-de-sac with the right-of-ways we have. We require a 60-foot radius on a cul-de-sac. These are 30-foot right-of-ways. It just,
Doesn't the town own the property at the end of the road?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yes. It's all easement, town-owned property. All at the end of Berkeley too.
You guys should know the town's been buying up all the empty.
Oh, I know
Okay,
that.
when during construction, we plan on maintaining so the garbage trucks can get down, the school bus get down, all that. We're not gonna lose any of that service then?
No, we try to coordinate with them as best as possible. You know, garbage is Monday. We try to let them in, same with package deliveries, Amazon, FedEx, UPS. We try to coordinate with them as best as we can. Like we said, we'll maintain access as much as humanly possible. We know everybody has emergency appointments, has packages, has stuff like that. It's never our intent to miss them. I will say that we can't force them to come sometimes either. So there have been times with other similar projects where we've missed a pickup or something like that because the garbage truck sees it and just turns around. So, but we reach out to them prior to the project and let them know what's going on, let them know they'll have access, and try to tell their drivers not to weep.
Storm sewers on that project on Wheeler Street, where are they gonna drain into?
So that entire system will drain into the wetland on the north side of 141st. It's a backside, it's a 12-inch system.
That's the spot where we're just talking about where box culvert goes in, where water has to drain through that wetland?
It'll be north, it'll kind of tap into the north side of that wetland, and then it'll get into that existing 18-inch system that goes north, and then hits the
It'll
ravine.
get there by itself, in other words, it'll just meander through that wetland. So
Yes.
Is there any plan on lowering that 18-inch culvert to catch more?
Potentially, like I said, that'll be part of phase two.
Mhm.
I don't have those plans in front of me.
Okay.
They're kind of broken out in another set. But yes, but I can't tell you that for sure.
I've been there a long time, I know how that water, how slow it takes days to get down, you know?
Yeah.
I've been dealing with that forever over there.
Yeah, and it's worsened because it's not cleaned all the time either. So, some big logs have gotten in there over the years. I've seen them, I've taken pictures of them. So that is something we will look at as part of phase two, for sure.
Well, I know that water, when it hits Hobart, that 18-inch, and it drains north to that ditch, there's no, on Wheeler Street, couldn't you run those sewer to that ditch instead of going south back to the wetland where it takes forever to get through? There's a ditch north of that.
That would be
That's why-
incredibly expensive to access. So I understand the town owns a lot of that property up there, but it's also fully wooded. Clearing something that large and putting in that deep of a system would be extremely expensive. So we try to maintain the existing drainage breaks that we have on all these, just because of access more than anything, because they're so tight. Creating new access corridors like that can be very expensive and drive the cost of this where it wouldn't be feasible.
Okay, well, I'm just concerned that, I understand if we've been hollering forever to raise up 141st.
Yeah.
Okay, my only concern is, you know, I was hoping that you had some kind of plan to make that water go to where it's supposed to go to get out.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like we're just gonna dump more water in there.
I mean, it won't be
its
more
own way.
Yeah, it won't be more water per se. It's getting there more efficiently for sure.
Well, it will be if you take the storm sewers from 141st and run them back.
That's not as much volume of water as you think.
Okay.
Where there's only two, so on the other side of the hill, the high point, on the
Right.
other, there's just two inlets down there.
Okay.
To prevent it from running off just freely. The last thing we want to do is have it run off, because then we're going to have erosion problems. So it's not even taking the full hill, because we only have so much grade to play with, but it's taking as much, but there's only two inlets there.
Okay, so we're not taking the whole street and running it there?
No, we
Just
just
from the-
can't do it
just
by
from the
grade.
high point,
Yeah.
which drains are in.
So that system where we're dumping into that wetland and kind of draining the backside of the hill is pretty deep,
Right.
because we're cutting through that hill, and we can only get so much of it, otherwise it's gonna be dead shallow at that one end.
Okay.
But it'll only be two inlets.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have one more, we have a person online, if we'll alternate in between for now.
Yeah, I just want to ask one other question. I live on 140th Avenue, and I understand there's two different projects going on the street, but when they came through to run the water pipe, at the end of all the driveways, they poured concrete skirts, like concrete aprons, and most of the driveways, and even all the way down 141st, are asphalt driveways. So is there any way when the project comes back through, you know, in the fall or the spring or whatever part of the plan it is, that they can maybe take that concrete out and put asphalt in there so it matches my, you know, original existing driveway that I have?
Potentially, so I know there's a mix of concrete and asphalt driveways on there, so we did our site survey probably a year plus ago, easy, almost 2 years ago. So if stuff has changed since then, we can work with you to go backwards. We won't go asphalt to concrete, but there may be ability to go from concrete to asphalt. So we can work with you when we're out there. If you want something put back, and I know they concrete collared some of the valves, those would have to stay. But if it's your driveway apron specifically and you want it to go back to asphalt, I think we probably could make that work.
That'd be great, because right now, it's really weird that I have an asphalt driveway, this weird slab of concrete that they poured in.
Yeah. No, we understand that. I mean, asphalt's cheaper than concrete, so.
Right, I appreciate that the part of my driveway that is concrete, but unfortunately the rest of it isn't.
Yeah. No, we try to keep them the same.
How do I go about getting, in the spring spring when they come down my street, I contact someone, or how do I go about it?
So after this meeting, the town's gonna provide, my contact information. My name's TJ. I'm gonna be the guy out there running the project on behalf of the town with all the contractors. If you could send me a picture of your driveway with your name and address and email that to me, Margaret will provide that and a message to you guys. I'll definitely get with you ahead of time and make sure we look at that.
Okay, awesome, thank you very much.
What was your name and address, just for, our notes?
It's Kyle Shepherd.
That's Kyle.
Okay.
Yes,
7108 West 140th Ave.
All right, thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
We'll go back to public comment person.
How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm Bob Schmidt, I'm at the end of Wheeler, 14010. Thanks for getting this done. I'm tired of my kids getting soaked. Mr. Salatas, you've gotten plenty of emails from me with the bus in the background. I'm excited. My first question, when you guys are doing 141st, I know there's road closures.
Yep.
Are they gonna let the buses through?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Wheeler 141st intersections will be our most difficult, just to be
No,
completely honest.
I get it, I just wanna make sure the buses are,
Yes.
without having coronaries.
How many kids live on Wheeler and take the bus, do you know, just offhand, ballpark
You
it?
get one kid from
Berkeley.
then my two.
Okay.
Josh's too.
And we
Josh's do with them, yeah.
we generally reach out to, who is it with?
I'll talk to
Crown Point.
Hanover and Crown Point School Systems.
It would just be Crown Point. Bus 39 and bus 10.
And I know when I was there passing out notices for you guys, I know there was a bus that came from the east
That's gonna,
in the afternoon.
yeah, that's the
The
regular
house on the
buses.
corner. So then they backed up and turned around. So I think they would have access from the east.
Well, the bus 93 that goes on the Wheeler, the handicap bus.
Yep.
That's gonna stop anyway, because they're using my driveway, and I'm not exactly thrilled with it. Every other kid has to walk to the street. It's, long story, we don't need that, this isn't the forum.
Sure.
I'm just making sure the buses would get through. We can get in and out, I mean, I get it, I'm in construction too, I know
Yeah.
how things go.
Right, yeah.
I have another question about elevation, but that'll wait till the end. But like we spoke when you handed us papers, I'm in the process, just got my permits for my garage, I'm ready to break ground. Unfortunately, it's gonna go simultaneously. I just need to have concrete done before it gets cold.
Yep.
I have an elevation,
Okay, yeah, we can
you know,
speak
I
out.
don't know a lot about that, I just wanna ask before I.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, with regard to, trash, mail, Amazon, things of those buses, we're gonna do everything in our power to work with the contractors to ensure that you guys have access. If for some reason there isn't access, they need to create a notice. I usually proofread them, and we kinda work together to get those to you guys passed
We
out.
spoke, you know where my house is, I'm
Exactly.
usually.
You guys have my business card. If there's ever a situation where, hey, I need access for this thing that's going on, or whatever, I mean, I've always got my cell on me. You guys can email me, you can text me, call me. I'm here for you. I'm excited to run this project with
I'm
you guys.
happy to get it going too, it's.
Yeah.
I
And
appreciate your patience.
it's very challenging. I've ran the South Shore reconstruction project. I've ran the Highland reconstruction project up by Vermillion. I've helped my coworker run High Grove up by MacArthur. I'm very familiar with Cedar Lake. I'm very familiar with the size of right-of-way you guys have. The extra challenge with you guys is that you're all dead-end roads, which makes it a little bit more challenging, but it just means we all just need to stay in touch and just plan things out as we go and make sure that we're not blocking people in. But the biggest thing, like Don mentioned earlier, is going to be everybody working together to, when it comes time for concrete work, to share driveways is going to be huge. Everyone's going to definitely get their 10,000 steps in. If you want to park at the end of the road somewhere and walk, I mean, obviously not everybody can do that, but there will be times where, I mean, if we've got the road tore up and we're putting storm sewer in the middle of the day, you're not gonna have access to your driveway for a couple hours, 4 hours, I mean. But the goal every day, at the end of the construction time, from 7 a.m. to up to 7 p.m., most contractors work 7 to 3, 7 to 4, 7 to 5. If there's an emergency, they may have to work late, but at the end of the night, you should be able to get into your driveway, and in the morning, you'll have access to get out. But, once 7 a.m. hits, I can't guarantee access, unless there's a special circumstance, and I'll do my best to work with you, so.
I'll touch base with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Where can I get your business card?
Right up front, sir. Right next to the sign-in sheet. Everyone's welcome. That's it, that's me, I'm Thomas, yep.
Okay, I got you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, come on up.
Okay. Well, I came here because I was complaining about 140th and Edison. You weren't involved with the fire hydrant.
No.
No, ma'am.
They have totally destroyed that area.
Yep.
Plus, they sit in front of my house for 2 hours throwing their lemon peels into my yard and not working. But hey, job security is all I'm calling it. I'm Mary's Lane.
Okay.
What are you gonna be doing to that road?
Curb and gutter. Connected it. The 3 houses on it, I think, right?
Two.
Two.
Houses on it, which for the last 48 years, the town has never done anything. 48 years, there's probably 20,000 that came out of our pocket to gravel that road.
Mm-hmm.
Never been maintained. Never been plowed but one time. So now you're gonna blacktop it, and where's the other gas main that you're talking about? It's on the corner of my land, somebody showed it to us.
Yeah, so, where's the gas main?
What was your address again?
14025 Edison
Edison,
Street.
she's right here with the steps,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, with steps.
Yep. Which we will, when we put the curb in, we will make sure we match grade with your steps, so I'll work on that with you when we're
I
out
want a
there.
wooden deck, can you?
Can't do that. So the gas main, so there's actually no gas main in Mary's Lane, it's just on Rockland and Edison.
It's on Edison and Mary's Lane, it's right at the corner of our lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there may be a service there, but the actual main is on the west side, the west
Yeah.
lane of Edison.
Yeah,
And then Rockland is kind of on the west side of that street as well.
I mean, we built the house, so
Yeah.
I know what's there,
Yeah.
but it's like, when I saw that Mary's Lane was being paved, I'm going, really?
It will.
Look, that's true, I'm thrilled to death, I'm still gonna park on it,
Okay. but
all these years, we maintained that road. Town has never given me a dime,
Okay.
so
Well,
something's wrong with that problem.
That I can't speak to, but I would
And then
guarantee
you
you.
give the
I'll
guy
have
at
to-
the end of the road the property to pave his driveway, Edison. That Edison went all the way to the end, past his property.
Nothing was given to him, I can assure you that.
Okay.
I don't know what happened with that, but, yeah.
I'm thrilled to death for him, but it's like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well,
I
thank
just
you.
want Edison at 140 straightened out before winter.
Yeah, well, that's part of 1B, that'll be next year.
Well, I realize that's the whole street being done, but you
Yes,
said you're.
oh,
gonna
currently,
pave it.
yes, as part of the other project, yes.
The other project that's
Yes,
taken 5 months, okay.
yes.
Yep, you got it.
Come on up.
The other company that did the water line, I've got a fire hydrant in front of my house. They've got a patch that's 6 feet long, 10 inches deep. Somebody's gonna fall in there, something, you know, and the guy told me, well, just take some dirt and fill it in. Why do I have to fill in dirt on the easement?
You shouldn't have to.
No.
What about that gravel that's in the spare lot out there? Can I wheelbarrow it and put it in?
No.
Can somebody come out there with a skid steer and at least get it level? Honest to God, it's not that deep in front of my
Gentlemen,
fence.
it's just west.
7,140.
Okay.
Yes.
We will reach out to the company that's doing that and try to get that taken care
Thank you
of.
very much.
Yeah, don't do it yourself though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm at 7012 next to this place. I had to go down with the wheelbarrow, get a pile of stones, because there's a berm this big going 2 inches coming from my land down the dip and out there. There was the golf cart and cars coming out, we got a wheelbarrow full, made it smoothed it out. Because, you know, what's gonna happen? That's all. You know, sometimes you gotta take your own thing, or, well, I wouldn't fill in a hole, but I'd
No.
sure make my life a lot easier. That's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, we'll reach out to the other company that's doing that and see where they're at, but I just don't have answers for you.
Yeah, they left quite a jagged edge to a road there.
Yeah.
Quite jagged.
Right.
It's not good.
It's like this.
So as part of our mill and resurface of 140th, we'll actually be doing patches as well. So they're asphalt patches that go down much deeper to improve the subbase, so we're not just kind of paving over soft stuff.
Yeah.
So that's included that as well. I know it's not curb and gutter, but that will improve the road in moving forward. So when we do our surface coat, it should last a lot longer.
Is there a storm drain for stormwater down by Mish's medical office?
I believe there is.
There is?
Yes,
Yeah.
kind of at the north side of it, I think, if I remember right, near the pole.
So whatever makes it past the drains in my driveway and goes down the hill will hit that storm drain.
So what we can do is that when we start milling that, we can try to reprofile that intersection as best we can to
Yeah.
try to get the drainage to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
I know the drainage, I know the structure that's out in there, if my memory serves me right, it's actually a yard drain. It shouldn't actually be that type of inlet, so we probably can change that. And what we do with the profile of the road, we might be able to get it to basically drain better.
Go better.
Yeah, and if that, yeah, he's showing me a picture of it right now, it is a yard drain. In the meantime, we can also look at the pipe under that road as well. If it's not in good shape, we can cut it out as well and replace it. So that would be a field call. We'll do that when we're out there.
Okay.
Because, yeah, that road is, you know, just kind of an addition later on with the water main project, so we actually don't have survey of that road. But we can make some field calls and try to improve what we can.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I live on Fernwood Avenue, 6613 Fernwood. My name is Sadler. So I would like to know why my little 3 roads were isolated and segregated and pushed out to who goes when.
So, we were given a pot of money that was available. It was roughly...
No, I mean, I'd like to know why it was segregated out of this program and put into another phase.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. So, the total cost of phase 1 and phase 2 was pushing close to $4 million. We were told that the town had available funds to do $1 million on their own, and then to apply for the remaining $1 million through CCMG grant. So we were tasked with phasing the overall. The reason that the phase 1s kind of went first is because they were dead-end streets. They were standalone storm sewer systems in some right, so they could actually be built independently of each other. Whereas when we get into Fernwood and Fairbanks and Hobart, that is all essentially one large tied-in system that's going to require some type of parcel acquisition, because there's really nothing out there, minus drain tiles and that 18-inch system. It's very small stuff, and that's going to have to go through rear yards. It's a much complicated, more intricate system. Whereas Berkeley essentially is going to have its own system, Wheeler's going to have its own system in outfall, Sherman as well, and then Rockland and Edison are kind of tied together, but that's kind of how it got broke. The center portion's a lot more complicated. And we're going to have to go through rear yards to get to basically the one outfall of that entire area, which is that 18-inch, gets into that ravine and goes north. It was a much quicker project to do 1 first, and then 2, it's going to take some help from some of those individuals there to get storm sewers through their properties. In these, we only need, like I said, 5 easements.
There's no road there, why don't you just go through the gravel?
I understand.
And do,
I'm not saying you...
put storm drain right down the center of the gravel roads.
But we need an outfall for any storm sewer system. It's a much more complicated system, and that's how it got split out. That one's running roughly $1.6 to $1.7 million. We were tasked, we had roughly $2 million. And that's how it got broke.
It's funny, I can take it back home and put in my own storm system in there and be faster than you guys.
Is there any other public comments?
Got one more question.
Yep.
The 18-inch pipe you're talking about, that's within the right-of-way of the road, isn't it?
I don't have it in front of me. It's probably is. It's probably right on the edge.
141st has a right-of-way also, correct?
Yes.
Why can't that ditch be maintained along the roadway like
any other roadway.
Along 141st or the 18-inch, or both?
Well, that's where the water goes, eventually to that 18-inch to drain that area.
Yeah, I mean, that's public infrastructure. It should be being maintained by the streets department. I don't work for them. I can't tell them what to do, but that should be part of their program to maintain systems like that, 'cause they're important. And if there's something we can do with phase 2 to make that system better and to not clog as much, that's part of the reason why there's a 4x2 box culvert going in. It's not for conveyance, it's for not, so it won't easily clog, and so it'll actually equalize now versus going over the road. So I don't want everybody to look at the 4x2 and say a 4x2 is going to an 18-inch. It's really just to equalize those two loads of that wetland. The 18-inch is still going to control.
I understand that.
So
It's gonna control the water leaving.
yes.
Okay.
So if there's anything we can do,
Another big lake pooling up there.
yeah,
You know, in that wetland.
yeah.
I know ditches can be maintained along roads, they are everywhere else, you know.
Yeah.
If we could maintain that, that'd be question for.
I mean, we may be able, so obviously wetlands are tricky.
I know.
With what we're allowed to do permitting wise, how long permitting takes, how expensive permitting can be. There is things we can do within them that are maintenance activities, if you wanna call it that. There probably isn't much of a ditch line in that wetland, it's just a level pool that kind of fluctuates up and down. If potentially we can clear some of the debris out there to help it drain better, we may be able to do that. We've done that with other ditches as a maintenance activity in town as well, and we can look into doing that.
Okay.
But like I said, we can't get into the normal water level of it too much, otherwise you start running into
I understand
state
that.
and federal.
I appreciate anything you can do,
Yeah.
you know, to get the water maintained.
Yeah.
Kinda.
And the best time to do that type of work is actually in the winter. So we're not, because likely we would take a skid steer out there and a bush hog and try to clear some of that debris out. We can't do that when it's wet, we'll lose the machine.
Right.
So we kind of do that work when it's a little frosty and get in there and not lose stuff. So I can let the public works know and try to get it on their radar. That's something maybe we can do this winter.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
My question is, why did we get fire hydrants? It's for future development east of Edison? Because if I could just run that water line out to that open field back there, east of all of our streets. And now none of the other streets did branch off to other people's streets. You know, did we really need to have that in there? Or are they gonna develop all that land back there? And that's why we're getting the curb streets to east of Edison. And, you know, 141st doesn't get done, 140th Avenue. Because I think this deal is they want to develop all that, and that's why the water line went in.
North of all these streets? No, that's not accurate.
No, east of all these streets. East, you know, how you go down 141st, you
Yeah.
know, heading east.
We've
you're on
heard
the dip,
rumors of
you-
a 500 house development and a
Yeah.
farmland out there.
Yes, there is a petition on the Plan Commission for a project out in that area.
Is that
And
why
that's what the
we got
water line
farmers?
was for?
No, the water is not specifically for that. The water line is, and we're working with the developers, the water line is to get to the, and this is not part of this project, but it is to get to the water tower that's being constructed at the Crystal Oak subdivision north of the community, which will help provide fire suppression throughout the eastern side of the town,
Got it.
or in sections where that water line is present. Okay. If there are no other public comments as it relates to this project, we will close this informational meeting. And again, as I mentioned, we'll kind of sit around and wait to everyone kind of trickles out for lot-specific items. So thank you for coming again, and thank you for those that were online.